and welcome to another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 383, and we're going to talk about a smorgasbord of stuff.
Hello, everybody. We are the Family Gamers. As always, I am your host, Andrew, and I am joined by my lovely and wonderful wife, Anitra.
20 years now.
20 years. So, Anitra, we celebrated our 20th anniversary this week.
Yay!
This week on the show, we kind of have a mix of a bunch of stuff. We were hoping to have our holiday list ready. We do not.
It's not ready.
So what we are going to do for you all, special gift, is that we are going to have a podcast this week, and then we're going to have a podcast next week.
If all goes according to plan.
If all goes according to plan, that's true. But and then we'll do the normal bi-weekly thing after that. But you just get a little bit extra of the Family Gamers podcast in your podcast feed for these next couple of weeks.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. But we've got some super fun stuff to talk about. We're going to start off the show like normal. We're going to do our monthly report for the month of October. We have a kind of 2-for-1 for science. We are announcing our holiday giveaway, which is 5 amazing giveaways this holiday season. And then we're going to talk about our back talk, and that'll be a show. So hopefully a little bit shorter this week, because we're going to have even more for you next week.
So why don't you start us off with a fact for 383?
Sure. So a couple other things happened that were of significance this week. We mentioned that Anitra and Andrew have been married for 20 years. That's significant. Perhaps less significant in our lives, but maybe more significant in the world, I guess, is that the Dodgers won the World Series.
I mean, yeah.
Let's face it, the Dodgers are more important to the world than we are.
I think back to 20 years ago, which was the first time the Red Sox had won the World Series in a really long time.
Time. Yep.
I mean, people care about baseball somewhat.
But anyway, the reason why I mentioned that is because our fact this week is, in fact, a baseball-related fact.
Yes.
The record for the most strikeouts in a Major League Baseball season is, in fact, 383.
What?
I know. It's crazy. Do you want to guess who it was? You've heard the name.
I'm going to guess that it's not super old, but also not sometime in the last 20 to 30 years. So probably somebody in the 70s or 80s.
You're pretty close. You want to guess some names?
I don't have enough names from that era.
Have you ever heard of Nolan Ryan?
I have, in fact, yes.
That is a record that is held by one Sir Nolan Ryan.
He's knighted now, at least.
He is in the baseball world.
In the Family Gamers world?
In the baseball world. And that's my fact. Pretty simple one for 383.
All right, cool. I have a message from our sponsor. Have you ever heard the term, it takes money to make money? Well, it's not the only way to make money, but it is a true statement. Income, however it looks, is like an engine. It can start slow, but as you build your resource pool, it often becomes easier to make more. If this sounds a little bit like the last time you played Wingspan or Terraforming Mars, it's because there's a lot of similarities between engine building in board games and financial engine building in real life. If you need help figuring out how to get that engine started, First Move Financial might be able to help. Head over to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and see how First Move Financial can kickstart your financial engine today.
All right, thanks so much to the team at First Move Financial for sponsoring another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. All right, Anisha, let's talk about some games that we've been playing, some new ones on this list.
Yeah, I have a couple old ones to mention at the end, but let's talk about new stuff first.
Sure. So let's talk about Bottle Imp. This is a weird game.
So it's a trick-taking game, and I think generally to get people's interest with a trick-taking game these days, it has to have something weird.
Yeah, and the weird thing is the Bottle Imp.
Yeah, so this is based on a story, I don't have it in front of me, but relatively famous story, about a cursed bottle, and the imp, genie, whatever inside, would grant you your wishes, but they only were like permanent if you could sell the bottle on, and you had to sell the bottle at a loss, no matter how you got rid of it. So the card game Bottle Imp is a trick-taking game based on that concept. Basically, there is a value for the bottle at the beginning of the game. The bottle can never be worth more than that. It can only go down in value. As people play out cards, standard trick-taking rules mostly apply. There's not a trump suit, but you're supposed to follow suit. If everyone plays values higher than the bottle imp's value, then the highest value wins. If anyone plays a value lower than the bottle imp's value, then the highest value lower than the bottle imp wins, no matter what else was played. And in that case, it doesn't even matter if that highest value under the imp followed suit or not. Like, you're supposed to follow suit, but if you couldn't and you played this number, too bad, you still win the trick. As the value goes down and down, hopefully the bottle imp is getting passed around and not just sitting with one person. At the end of the round, when all of the tricks have been taken, everyone gets to earn points based on the cards that they won. But whoever has the bottle imp loses points. Thankfully, it's not based on the cards that you won. It's based on some stuff that's been set aside semi-randomly at the beginning of the round.
Yeah, so the goal in this is to win as much as possible and then give up the bottle imp as late as possible, basically.
Yes.
Because you don't want to have it, but you do want to have a stable of cards.
You do want to win things, yes.
Right. I mean, that's pretty much the game. It's an interesting concept. I really dig the weird art. I don't know how you would describe it. It reminds me of kind of like almost Oriental rug style, kind of. I don't know how to...
It's heavily detailed, but it's only like 2 colors. So
I mean, it's abstract, right? This is abstract art.
Abstract-ish.
Most of the stuff. It's got, I think the cards have some kind of like
a raised foil
to them, like a
thing,
raised foil kind of thing to them. They're really cool. They're really cool looking. We played this one at breakfast, and the waitress was like, okay, this looks cool. What is going on?
Yeah.
Because you have a little bottle with a little imp inside and stuff like that. It's got a really nice table presence in that way.
Yeah. My biggest complaint about this game is that we have not played it 100% according to the rules yet, because you have to play multiple rounds for this game to be fair. I mean, agree at the beginning of the game, but you need to do, 2 or 3 or 4 rounds to be fair, because whoever ends the round with a bottle is definitely losing that round, and it's not even going to be close. So we've only played single round games, and it's not very satisfying, either for the winner or for the loser, because it's just kind of like, well, it doesn't matter what the score was, because somebody loses.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a game that we got into review fairly recently. We just haven't had, the opportunity to kind of put it through the motion and stuff like that. So we can't really speak too well or ill of it yet. But the 1 round so far thing has been...
Definitely don't play only a single round.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A game that I've liked a little bit more than that, though, is Donut Shop.
This game is great. I really like this game. This is a game that we've had on our shelf for a little bit. It's really fun.
So this is one of the few times I think I've seen a tile-laying game that actually feels super thematic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You scale back a little bit, and it's definitely an abstract game. You're putting down these sets of 4 donuts, and the larger connected group of donuts you can make, the more points you make on your turn. But it's a 2-part tile laying game. You're also allowed to spend cards from your hand to put out boxes and box up donuts.
So the way the game works, so every tile with donuts on it, it's a square tile with 4 donuts. But the distribution of the donuts and whether or not the donuts have sprinkles and things like that is different on every single one of them. Your goal is to draw cards and tiles such that as you play out tiles into the common donut table, you create some kind of rectangular collection that is represented by the cards in your hand. So it could be a varied amount of donuts. It could be all the same donut. It could be, some combination therein. Mm-hmm. But in order to box them, you have to play cards that match all of the donuts that you would put the box over.
All the types, yeah.
So there's multiple levels here. When you place a tile, you get points for all of the connected donuts in that tile kind of contiguous thing. You pick one of the colors of donut that's on your tile, and then everything that's connected to orthogonally, you get that many points in change, basically. It's 5 cents per donut.
Yeah, you're getting money.
And then you're playing out these cards to put the donut boxes over sections of the tile board. So it's got this nice multi-level puzzle. Sometimes it's more worth it to get a big glom of donuts, even though you realize that you're probably giving away that opportunity for a box to your opponent if you don't have the right cards for it. The other thing about this that's cool is at the end of your turn, you draw a card and a tile, and only one of them is face up.
One of them must be face up.
You have to have one of them be face up and one of them be face down. So sometimes you don't really care, but you have to draw the face up one first, which is either a card or a tile, and you just kind of have to pick something and then take the other one face down, and maybe you would have picked the other face-up thing. Like, it's an interesting puzzle.
But yeah, it's really neat, and I love the idea of boxing up the donuts. There's a bunch of different sizes of boxes, which fits incredibly well. Like there's a half dozen, and there's a box of 9 and a box of 8. So they're all these slightly different rectangular shapes that all make sense in context.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that 2 layers of tile placing is really cool. I like it a lot, and it was way easier to get into and play than I thought it was going to be at first.
Yep. Also, the kind of components, the little tray things that hold the cards and hold the donuts.
Excellent.
Chef's kiss. Very, very
Very well done, yes.
Yep. And you don't have to take them apart to put them back in the box.
Although it did take a little while to put them together the first time. But I can forgive that since they stay together for the rest of time.
Yeah. So that's Donut Shop from 25th Century. Really enjoying that one. We're going to be writing that one up pretty soon, I think.
Let's talk about Kabanga.
Kabanga!
So this is a incredibly fast-moving, like easy to get into card game from Amigo, like most card games from Amigo.
So, spoiler alert, if you are coming to PAX Unplugged, Anitra and I, and at least one of the Family Gamers kiddos, is going to be teaching Kabanga on Sunday in the Learn to Play.
Yes.
So you should come say hi. That'd be great.
Yeah. I had heard about this game before. Actually, Nick is going to be reviewing this game for the Family Gamers.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'd heard about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, that seems fine. Sure, whatever. This game has been incredibly fun. It's a card shedding game, so you're trying to get rid of cards out of your hand. You're playing them out onto matching colors on the table. But every time you play a card, everyone else can look at what's on the table and see if they have any cards that fit in the gap that you've created with the card you played.
So you've got 4 different colors.
Yep.
There's purple and yellow and red and blue. And there's a card on either side that represents the upper or lower bounds of the range.
Mm-hmm.
And you play a card from your hand in one of these colors onto either side of
you can do it
colored
however you want.
Thing. Right.
Shape the range how you want.
Yep. And then basically if anybody has any cards within that range, they throw them on the table and say
Kabanga!
And you have to draw cards from the deck equal to the number of cards that everybody has played at.
Yeah. It's this great thing where you're both able to get rid of cards by, staying observant and being able to yell Kabanga at people. But also you're not making people take your cards exactly. They're taking new ones from the deck, which keeps it fresh and interesting. Like, you have a bunch more cards in your hand, but I don't know what they are. I know they're probably not yellow because 4 yellows just got thrown on the table, but they could be anything.
So each of the cards has a diamond value from 1 to 3 on it. And once somebody goes out, everybody gets points according to the diamonds of all of the cards that are left in their hands.
Yep.
And once somebody gets to 18 points are bad, obviously. Once somebody gets to 18 points, the game is over. Whoever has the least points wins. Super fast, super easy to understand. We taught it to some friends last night in 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
And that's really, really fun. That's Kabanga from Amigo.
All right, why don't you talk a little bit about Dodo?
This game's ridiculous.
It's probably going to make it onto our holiday gift list.
For younger.
Gamers. Yeah, it's probably perfect right around age 6 or 7.
I think 6. I think that's the choice age for this one. So we're going to snap review this game probably pretty soon. And in the snap review, we are going to include setting the game up from the box. This is not full construction. This is setting the game up from the box, because Dodo is a game where you pretty much have to take it apart and put it back together every time you play it, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. Dodo is a game where there is a tower and there is a dodo bird at the top with an egg. What you need to do, this is a random memory game. There's a series of tiles face down on the table. You roll a die and you flip over a tile. If the tile matches the die, you can use it to start building part of the next section of the trail that winds its way around the mountain to go from the top to the bottom, where there is a boat that is going to safely shepherd the dodo's egg to somewhere. I don't really even know.
It doesn't have to make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So you're slowly just trying to fill these,
Planks.
matches, these holders, whatever, in order to build this, slow ramp down so the dodo bird egg doesn't drop off the edge and just fall and presumably crash open and whatever. And it's basically a cooperative speed game. You're just going around and around and around trying to flip these things over. There's some ways to modify the game to make it easier or harder. There's some wilds. There's some kind of optional things that you don't have to fill out if you want to make the game easier. So it does flex really, really well. At the easiest levels, this game is just, it's not even challenging for adults. At the harder levels, frankly, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
To try to keep your brain wrapped around what's going on. But the thing about this game that's so interesting, and the thing that blows everybody's mind when they start to play this game, is the dodo egg.
Yeah, so this is a round ball, and it rolls kind of.
Really slowly. I don't know what is inside this thing, but it's clear there's some kind of bizarro weight system inside the dodo egg. I almost want to cut one open, but I wouldn't want to ruin the game, and the game is unplayable without the egg, right? I'm so curious what is inside this thing. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's just the way that my brain works.
Yeah.
But as it's working its way down this ramp, it defies logic that it could roll as slowly as it does.
And it's not a steady roll, which you would expect. Like if it was just a ball, it would be a steady roll. And that adds to the anticipation and the tension, and it makes it work really well as a game, even with folks who really are too old for it like us.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a game for adults.
This is a kid's game.
It was thoroughly entertaining,
yeah.
I have to say. And that is Dodo from Cosmos. Just came out this year, but I think already it's going to make the list.
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how about Rune Masters? I was skeptical about this game. But
man, I had to drag you to play this.
I don't know. I think it's something in the art style makes me go like, it's going to be another one of these games. I'm tired of those. I want to play something else for now. But it was not what I expected. Aside from the fact that it's cooperative, which I had not picked up on when you were first setting it out. But it's really not what I expected. It's a more or less a tower defense game.
Yeah. This game feels like Castle Panic, but more complicated, but minus a bunch of mechanics. Like, it feels more complex in Castle Panic because you have powers. First of all, you have asymmetric characters, and your characters have a couple of different powers that you can choose some icons to use. And so in that way, it feels more complicated than Castle Panic. But Castle Panic has 6 lanes, and this just, endless supply of monsters, right? This game has 4, and there's just a lot less. There's a lot less of it.
Not only does it have 4 lanes, but since the monsters aren't determined where they go by a die roll, you can actually count on it staying relatively well balanced rather than it's just going to be a huge horde in this one lane and we're going to ignore everything else. And then, oh no, now everything has shifted a lane and now we have to figure out what we're going to do about that. No, it's slightly more predictable than Castle Panic. Just there are kind of less options of where everybody's going to go and how fast they're going to come at you.
Yeah, and that's how it feels simpler.
Yeah.
Right, in that piece of this. So in this game, you are pulling out monsters, just like in Castle Panic. There are colors, just like in Castle Panic. But there's 1 lane for each of the 4 colors.
Yep.
Instead of Castle Panic, where there's 3 colors and there's 2 lanes for each one.
Yes.
So the monster gets placed usually in the third
spot
ring, if you were thinking of this in Castle Panic terms, unless they're faster monsters and they explicitly get placed in the second ring. They have some icons on them that represent their weaknesses. On your turn, you roll some dice. You try to match the faces on the dice to the weakness icons on the monsters, and by doing so, you score hits, and you can spend magic to reroll dice. If you hit all of the weak points on the monster dies. I mean, this is, pretty straightforward stuff.
Well, importantly, in Rune Masters, each player controls 1 or 2 characters, and you can only hit the monsters in the lane where your character is. So you may have to spend some of those dice to move to a different lane and then be able to hit a monster. And I think that's part of where the complexity comes in. You have hit points and you have powers and you have all of that. And instead of having cards in your hand to determine, I can hit this, I can't hit this, instead you're rolling dice and then you have to maneuver around what the dice give you for hitting. So it kind of flips the Castle Panic mechanics around, that the monsters are more predictable, your actions are less predictable.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's true. And there's a little bit of strategy / tactics going on here because you may want to save up some stuff. You can discard die faces to kind of save up some power for your ultimate power or whatever the thing's called, right? So there's strategy around that too. Also in this game, the goal is actually not to kill all the monsters. It's to survive until you've gone through the monster deck.
Yeah, there's a dawn or sunrise card, and when that comes out, game's over, you've won.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. It just kind of twists a few things. You can play this game up to, I think, 4 players is the max on it. This is Rune Masters from Funforge. We're probably going to talk about it some more, I would guess. I really think the boys are going to enjoy it.
I mean, we're going to review it at some point, so we definitely have to talk about it then.
Yep.
All right. Let's set aside just a couple minutes to talk about some classics that came out over the last 2 weeks.
Sure.
I promise this is not a result of our talking about beautiful games a month ago, but our son Elliot was sick and he asked to play some board games, and he asked for Deblockle. He couldn't remember the name of it, but he's like, that one with the big cubes and they have stuff painted on the sides of them.
Sure.
So we played some of that. We played some Quarto. Those are also good games for that sort of like, I feel kind of sick. Like, I'm not super contagious. I'm not a hazard to be around, but also like, I need something that's just a little bit less brain power, a little bit more straightforward. I don't have to keep a bunch of rules straight. Those abstract games are really nice for that.
I agree.
A couple of days later, we played an old favorite of his from when he was a little kid, which was Dirty Pig. We played a bunch of games of Dirty Pig.
Really?
Me and Elliot, and then me and Elliot and Asher. Yes. It's light and silly and fun, and your whole goal is to make the pigs dirty. I'm sure that North Star Games does not publish this game anymore, so I'm just glad that we have the copy that we do.
That's amazing. All right, well, I will talk about the last game on my list. You want to talk about some classics? This is a game that we literally pull out every 4 years, although we're talking about breaking it out at the midterms, and this is Campaign Trail from Cosmic Wombat Games. Campaign Trail is a game where you are on the campaign trail. You can play this 2 to 6 players.
Yes.
Is the official play counts on this game. If you get the Green Party expansion, you can play up to 8.
Oh my goodness, that would be insane.
I am looking for a copy of the Green Party expansion. If you are listening to this and you know where to get a copy, please contact me. Anyway, so we play this every 4 years. We play it before the presidential election. 4 years ago, I and my partner, Dave Smith, no relation, we won. I don't remember who we played as. I think we played as the Democrats last time. Dave was unable to make it this time, so I had a new running mate, a la the current presidential election, plural running mates. And we won again.
Yeah, you told me the story of how you managed to pull out the win on the very last turn of the game.
Yeah, on the very, very last turn. So one of the reasons why we want the Green Party expansion is not necessarily to go to 8 players, although I'm open to that. It's because they have this like exit polls, new addition thing kind of at the end of the game, which mixes things up a little bit. But the game is really, really interesting. We played a full 6-player game. You can campaign, you can advertise, you have to register voters. If you're going to place voters in states, you have to usually place registered voters unless you have special abilities to let you place unregistered voters in states. There's all sorts of really interesting kind of things that you do that really sort of mimic what you're doing in a campaign or what the candidates are doing in a campaign. We played with the Dirty Politics expansion.
Of course you did.
That was interesting. It's dirty, man. Let me tell you. But yeah, this is a game that was kickstarted. What did you say, Anitra? In like 2016, 2017, something like that?
Well, it's actually one of the very first reviews that showed up on the Family Gamer site.
It's got to be 2015 then.
And I say it that way because it was our friend Corey, who I believe hosted the Campaign Trail game the other night. It was our friend Corey who reviewed it for us back in September 2015.
Right.
Which
and that was before it actually was fulfilled. Yeah. And so, because I remember this, because we thought it was going to fulfill for the 2016 election, and it didn't quite make it.
It did not.
Right. So anyway, that is Campaign Trail. It is guaranteed to get played at least once every 4 years. I am so far the reigning champion, I guess. I will say this about this game. Like, this is one of those games that, like, doesn't feel super good to win, especially if you pull it out at the end, because someone's going to be mad at you, and you just kind of, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but, like, I feel like when you get in there at the end and just snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, like, it just, I don't know, it doesn't feel good. You know what I mean?
You still happy you played, though, right?
Oh, yeah, fun game. But, like, honestly, I'm totally there to hang out with the people. I really wouldn't have cared if we didn't win.
Yeah.
But, like, and I think that maybe that was what felt so awkward about it at the end, is somebody was upset. Like, it was like, of course, the board game guy did the thing, right? I was like, it's not like that. It's just I got the good cards. So I was glad there was a table between me and one particular person who I deeply respect in every way. But he absolutely had to walk out of the room for a little while and then come back.
Yeah.
So, that's Campaign Trail. Really, really good game. Really, really enjoyed it.
All right. Well, yeah. So as you can tell, although life has been busy, we're finally making time to play board games again.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yeah, we're getting there.
So let's examine how that shook out in the monthly report.
Sure.
Andrew sounds nervous.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's fine. I will go first. So in the month of October, I played 26 games. I played 17 unique games 26 times.
Okay.
The vast majority of my games I played, unsurprisingly, with you, 24 out of 26. My player counts were primarily 3 players and a little bit less at 2 players. And 88% of my games I played at home.
Once again, I'm going to say that you definitely don't record all your plays because I have it here that I played 29 games with you.
Whatever.
In October.
Okay, so hold on. So this includes like the 1 rounds of Bottle Imp, which I don't count because we didn't play a complete game. So we have slightly different definitions of what playing a game means.
Sure.
Which is why there's some disparity. Also, I probably just forgot a couple, but
like you do. With that said, I played 24 unique games for a total of 44 plays. There's a lot of things that got played twice. But my H index is actually 3 this month because I played a whole lot of Hamster Roll. A whole lot. I played 4 games of Circus Fliccati, and then I also played 3 of Football Feud and 3 of Dodo.
My H index is 2. The games that got me over the hump on that one were, in fact, Hamster Roll and Football Feud.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably enough for our October monthly report. I would love to hear what other people are playing and what their H indexes are for the month, things like that. Of course, you can head over to the Facebook community to share your numbers if you want to, or on the Discord, on the Family Tabletop Discord. But we are going to go back to the community to welcome our new community members.
Yeah, let's do that.
Anitra has found a kitten and a pumpkin.
Yeah, it took a little effort, but it was worth it. It's very cute. Kitten popping out of a pumpkin and saying hi. So we're going to say hi to our newest community members. Hello to Anna.
Hello to Dina.
Hello to Jihu.
Hello to Susan.
Hello to Kaylee.
Hello to Nagla.
We're so glad that you're here. Stop in and say hi and tell us about something you've been playing.
Share some numbers, like I said.
If you're stats nerds like us, share some numbers.
All right. Speaking of the community, let's go to our various communities. We're going to talk about some back talk. We talked about our favorite spooky games last show.
We did.
And we made some posts in our community and on the Discord to get other people's thoughts on some of their favorite spooky games.
The Discord hopped right on it. I didn't even post the question, and they were like, oh, I can tell you about my favorite spooky games. Okay, great.
Please do.
So starting with Kristen, who said, thanks for the heads up about Ghost Fightin' Treasure Hunters. The fact that it's now coming out with a 25th anniversary edition or whatever it is, and it's actually going to be available again at a reasonable price point. She says, I don't have many Halloween or spooky themed games in my collection to play with my kids. I need to work on that. But right now, my favorite ones are Ghost Blitz and Zombie Kids. I have my eyes on Ticket to Ride Ghost Train, Ghost Fightin' Treasure Hunters, and I own Scooby-Doo Mystery Mansion. It's the betrayal house at the hill, whatever, how that game goes. But she hasn't played it yet. But with adult family members, she says she really enjoys Betrayal at the House on the Hill. There's the name. Scream the Game, Rear Window, and Final Girl, which is a solo horror movie kind of game.
Yeah, pretty well known. Mm-hmm. Over on the Facebook community, Mark Spector mentions La Familia Hort. Not surprising. That is a really fun Tim Burton-like weird thing about a family of farmers. Pretty fun. Pretty good one. Joseph Renninger says, Horrified was a go-to game for a long while. The adults like Dead of Winter, but it doesn't get much play, only when friends are over and in the mood. Our oldest are in high school now, so maybe they are ready for it. And maybe, was it Dead of Winter we went over someone's house and played?
Yes.
This ridiculous mega game. And
yep.
Yeah, that night ended weirdly.
It did.
But the game was fun.
Jean Koo actually responded with versions of the same story on Facebook and on the Discord. Not exactly Halloween themed, but he talks about forcing his youngest into playing stuffed fables, and eventually they just kind of noped out. He said, don't be like me and make your kid play a game they're not ready for, no matter how much their older sibling wants it.
Yeah, we run into that a fair bit with the Plaid Hat stuff. I don't know what it is. There's some kind of, I think it's just our family. There's something, we just bounce off the Plaid Hat games a fair bit. We did the same with Familiar Tales. Like, I think a lot of us really wanted to like it, and it just wasn't kind of meshing with our family, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and his story says that the youngest was into the idea of the minis and the stories, but the actual gameplay did not work for them at all. Right. So that's just how it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Similar for us. Stefan, short and sweet, Mysterium.
I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Bruff said, we just played The Pumpkin Problem, which is the third in the Holiday Hijinks series. Very thematic and lots of puzzly fun.
Well, don't bury the lead.
I agree with him.
All right. Courtney says, love Ghost, love candy, but she has an Elliot too. My Elliot hates that the kids get scared. I get it. The favorite here, though, is Flick or Treat. It was a small pouch dexterity game that was 3D printed as a Make 100 Kickstarter. Kind of an accidental purchase, but everyone I've shown it to loves it. Cool. Now I'm super interested in this Flick or Treat game. I want to see more.
JP from Little Big Thumb says, we've been playing a lot of Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to the Ghost Town this spooky season.
Whoa.
He says, the game isn't growing on me yet, but my youngest loves plotting out a ghost town and making me suffer through it. More power to you, JP.
You the man, dog.
And then we have one last suggestion on the Discord, which is don't go in there. The only thing it says on Board Game Geek is meddling kids try to escape a haunted house.
And it's not a Scooby-Doo game?
It's not a Scooby-Doo game.
I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for these meddling kids.
Maybe it's just, it can't be branded as Scooby-Doo.
All right, just wrapping up the Facebook. Stephanie Nye says, Ghost Fight and Treasure Hunters continues to be one of our most played family games, so I am going with that. We played many games of Horrified 2, starting when our daughter was 5, and got burned out and passed on that one. I get that. I would say consider the later ones, because I think the mechanics of the monsters in like the Greek one,
they get more interesting.
It's interesting. It is interesting. It is the same core mechanic. So if you're really burned out on that core mechanic, it's fine. It's fine. Not everything is for everybody. And that's totally okay.
Yeah. As previously mentioned with the Flat Hat games.
Mm-hmm.
So, a good smattering of spooky games. I hope you all out there enjoyed some spooky games for the holiday. It turns out that the only one we really played was Ghost Love Candy 2. We had planned out to play more, and then a couple of game nights got canceled. So,
so
it is what it is.
Illness and some vacations and some weirdness, and it's just kind of the way it worked out.
Yep. In the meantime, why don't we give the listeners a snap review?
Okay, I think we can do that.
We'll be right back.
All right.
I love trains. I mean, who doesn't love trains? But I've never ridden a train that ran between islands. But now I can build my own island network with Railroad Inc. Archipelago. Railroad Inc. Archipelago is a new set of boards for Railroad Inc. They were designed by Halmar Hawk and Lorenzo Silva, and they're published by Horrible Guild. You can use these with any Railroad Inc. or Railroad Inc. challenge game with up to 4 players. These are best for players who are already familiar with the basic game. The art on these Archipelago boards match perfectly with the rest of the Railroad Inc. universe. It's just bigger. The board is almost 4 times bigger than a normal Railroad Inc. whiteboard. It spreads all the scoring boxes around the outside edge, so at least it's not as gigantic as it could be. So let's talk about the mechanics of this expansion. I'm going to assume you're familiar with at least the basic rules of Railroad Inc. To play on the Archipelago board, you use the standard 4 route dice, but you can also add on most kinds of expansion dice like these. There are 4 major adjustments to the rules: rounds, drawing routes, buildings, and bridges. First, this game lasts 10 rounds instead of the normal 7. You shorten this to only 8 rounds if you're also using expansion dice
that would normally shorten the game to 6. Secondly, drawing routes is mostly the same, but all the routes you draw on a turn must be on the same island. This only applies to the routes you rolled on the standard route dice. It doesn't apply to special routes, expansion dice, or routes that you obtain through using buildings. Speaking of buildings, let's talk about those. The Archipelago board adds 4 kinds of special buildings, but 3 of them you might already recognize from the Railroad Inc. Challenge. There's the Factory, which lets you draw a second copy of any rolled route on the turn that you fill it. There's the Village, which gives extra points if you build a station junction in its space. The University, activating 3 universities lets you build an additional special 4-way route. And the brand new building of the Warehouse. The Warehouse can store a route to use on a later turn, or even on the same turn. You begin the game with 2 unlocked warehouse spaces here along the side of your board. Anytime you build where there's a warehouse on the main board, you unlock another warehouse space. Only basic routes, not expansion dice or special 4-way routes, can be stored in the warehouse spaces, but you can choose to store one at any time. Once you decide to build a route that you'd previously stored, cross off its entire warehouse space. You're not going to be able to use this again. Lastly, this board has bridges between the islands. As you might expect, you automatically build a bridge when you connect a route to either end. It counts as an extra space if it's part of your longest route at the end of the game. Scoring for this works exactly like any other version of Railroad Inc. Tally up your points for connecting exits, longest highway, longest railway, your central spaces, there are 4 on each island, and subtract points for each error or each incomplete route. And of course, you can also gain points from expansions or from gold cards. So let's talk about what I expected from this expansion. I enjoy the Railroad Inc. games, and especially Railroad Inc. Challenge. I was excited for something that could breathe new life into my existing lush green set, and Island seemed like a cool new way to shape your choices in the game. Since it can play with either Railroad Inc. or Railroad Inc. Challenge sets, I figured it wouldn't use the challenge piece at all, and that's fine. Also, I really like this purple color. So let's talk about surprises. First, these boards are huge. When they're folded up, they look almost the same as any other Railroad Inc. board, so I was really surprised and a little overwhelmed the first time I opened one up. Secondly, there are rules in here to use goal cards if you have them. So that was an awesome surprise. I much prefer playing with the goals to give me different priorities each time I play. Thirdly, I wasn't expecting a new kind of special building in here. The warehouse can be really handy, especially because of the rule I kept forgetting. You have to place all your routes in a turn on the same island. That same island rule was surprisingly hard to remember. It took quite a few plays for it to start to feel intuitive, rather than something I needed to constantly check each turn. This rule doesn't apply to special routes, doesn't apply to expansion dice, or to the routes obtained from special buildings like the warehouse and the factory. So use that warehouse to temporarily store routes so you can put them exactly where you want them and not be limited by that same island rule. If you've played a Railroad Inc. game in the past and thought, this game is great, but it's just a little bit too short, this expansion is for you. Yes, it adds some new elements of strategy, but the main thing this board does is make the game longer. And I loved that about this game. I used to walk away from a game of Railroad Inc. feeling a little unsatisfied. This completely fixes that for me. This game is almost 50% longer, and now it feels like it's just the right length, at least for me. If you enjoy Railroad Inc., I would give these a try. I rate the Archipelago boards 4.5 stations out of 5. And that's Railroad Inc. Archipelago in a snap.
And we're back.
Hello. So we got a lot of weird stuff for you. This.
What do I get myself talked into here?
You're just a team player. We have a 2-for-1 for science. We're going to talk about our holiday contest. We are going to name the games that we are giving away this holiday season. Thank you very much to some very generous publishers for some games to give away. And then, maybe we'll talk a little bit about the holiday list. Maybe we'll just talk about the fact that it exists. And
or it will exist.
Then we're going to wrap up the show. So, Anitra, do you want to talk about this for science?
Under duress, I went out and bought
oh, it smells.
Oreo Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola Oreos. So I'm going to read off. So there's the can. The can is limited edition Oreo Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, fizzy cookie flavored.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. These Oreos, these are like the worst smelling Oreos I have. Oh, man.
So then the Oreos say Oreo Coca-Cola with popping candy. Artificially flavored, serving size 2 cookies. I don't even like the way they look. It's got one standard Oreo cookie and one bright red Coca-Cola cookie. And then, the filling smells kind of like Coke that's been like spilled and left out to dry.
Yeah, it does. All right, we're doing the Oreo cookies first.
I mean, I'm already thirsty, but
oh man,
given how the cookies smell, the soda has to be an improvement. So we'll do the cookies first.
All right, you only live once. Here we go. Actually,
tastes like an Oreo.
I got lemon on the front.
Yeah,
that's weird.
That's probably the popping candy in there somewhere. Oh, I don't feel the popping. It just feels grainy.
No, I feel a little bit of popping. Definitely started with like a lemon flavor on the front.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of like, almost like a cake batter kind of taste. I don't know how else to describe it. I look forward to giving these cookies to my children though, because I'm not eating them.
Honestly, like there's some other flavors. Oh, there's the popping candy. Ouch. Ouch. They sit in the back of my tongue. But it mostly just tastes like an Oreo. Like it's fine. I would not say no if someone offered me another one of these, although I'm not a big fan of how they smell.
You know, I actually think I would say no.
But they taste fine.
Yeah. I would not say no to Oreos or mint Oreos or peanut butter Oreos. But Coca-Cola Oreos, I think I'll pass.
I love how you took out multiple cookies and then you gave one back to me.
Yeah, that should tell everyone. Because usually when we do for science, I'm like, whatever, I'll just eat it. It's not a big deal. I took 3 cookies. I gave 1 back.
I still can't believe that you took 3 cookies. All right. Oh, how?
I mean, okay, I just grabbed them out of the box and there just happened to be 3.
You know what? Between spicy stuff and popping candy, I think I would rather go with the spicy because at least that pain is like constant once it starts. The popping candy is still going off in my mouth even though the cookie is gone. I do not like it.
It's just weird. It's a weird feeling. Anyway.
I am old and boring. I don't like it.
On to the Oreo Coca-Cola.
Oh, I'm so nervous about this. Tastes like Coke Zero. It's a little sweet. I mean, I drink very little Diet Coke or Coke Zero anymore. But it pretty much tastes like Coke.
Yeah, you know what? This is a whole lot of nothing. At least the Coca-Cola flavored Oreos had something to hate. I neither hate nor love this. Like, it's just a thing.
There it is. Wow, that was weird. Like, I took another sip and like Diet Coke, Oreo. Just all of a sudden it was there and then it was gone again. Like, I swallowed and I immediately tasted Oreo and then it went away.
Maybe a little bit of the cookie, but none of the cream. I could get the cookie. It's like Acme's disappearing, reappearing ink. I apologize to anybody who got that joke.
Yeah, no, you're right, though. It's like weird chocolatey flavor that kind of comes and goes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't actually mind that. I am one of the weirdos who used to drink the Weight Watchers or Waist Watchers or whatever it was, the diet chocolate soda back in the day.
This is me giving the rest of my
Oreo
Coca-Cola
I will just finish
to
my
Anitra.
can. That's probably enough.
The best thing about the Oreo Coca-Cola is that it comes in a 7-ounce can.
Also that it's Coke Zero, so at least I'm not spending my calories on this silliness.
Yeah, right. I'm going to give that to the boys. I'm not finishing that thing. Wow. I mean, I can't say that it was a bust of a for science because part of the charm here is you guys get to hear me be miserable about this. But,
I think it's hilarious that I don't like the cookies, but I don't think they're terrible. And I think the soda is just fine. And you're the one being like, no, this is gross. This is really unusual that you think it's grosser than I do.
Listen, neither one of these are things that I wouldn't consume on a dare. Let me be crystal clear here. I just don't like them.
Right. I am just surprised that I'm kind of meh on them both and you actively dislike them. That's not normally how this works.
I do not like them at all.
Normally, I'm the one being the
pass.
killjoy.
I'm a meat and cheese guy these days.
That's true.
So that's pretty much it for me. So anyway, all right, on to the holiday contest. So, Anitra,
Yes.
with these things, we usually make it pretty easy on people on how they can enter the holiday contest.
Yeah, we have 5 games, and I guess we're going to do 5 giveaways, but they're all going to work exactly the same way. This just gives you an opportunity to only enter the ones for the games you're actually interested in. Because I would hate to send people something and be like, too bad, sucker, you got the thing that was 3rd place. So by the time this podcast goes up, I will be sending out an email to our email list, which, by the way, also gains you more entries in the, giveaway.
Yep.
You can enter the contest and get a few extra entries with, being on the email list, following us on social media, all that kind of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
So of the 5 things we're giving away, I have 4 of them sitting here in front of me. Let's talk about them. We've got brand new unopened copy of Archaeologic. That one is from Ludonaut. We reviewed it, I think it was this summer. It wasn't all that long ago. Andrew really liked it. I liked it a little less, but it's a good game.
This game has a lot of Turing machine vibes in it.
Yeah. Age on it is 12 plus, so keep that in mind. The next one we have is a brand new unopened copy of Mutton Bustin'. This is a 8+ game from 25th Century.
We haven't reviewed this yet. We will review this. This is a crazy dice rolling bonanza. Let's call it that. It's very silly. I definitely enjoyed it more than I expected to when I played it.
Very, very silly.
Yeah.
Then we have a brand new unopened copy of Patrician Towers of Influence from Calliope.
Mm-hmm. This is another game that we will be reviewing. I think Nick is going to be releasing the review on this one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a brand new unopened copy of Avant Card from Resonim. If you've been listening to the podcast for any length of time, you know that Andrew and I really love this game. It is so much fun. And it also says 8+. I would say that's about right.
Mm-hmm.
Better a little on the older end of the range, but definitely playable by a kid who's 8 or 9.
Yep. So those are the 4 games that we have in front of us. Those are games that as soon as the contest is over, we'll be able to mail out to the winners. The 5th thing on the list is something that actually won't be available until sometime next year, but is very exciting. So we are, as you know, friends with Mark from Grand Gamers Guild. Mark has provided generously for us a copy of the Holiday Hijinks Master Detective Collection. So here's the deal with this. Basically, head over to Kickstarter, look up the Holiday Hijinks Master Detective Collection.
Look Holiday Hijinks.
Yeah, you just look up Holiday Hijinks. It's fine. This is a full set of all of the Holiday Hijinks that have come out so far. The Kringle Caper, the Independence Incident, the Pumpkin Problem, which we mentioned earlier,
yep.
The Cupid Crisis, the Birthday Burglary, the Groundhog Gambit, the Turkey Trial, the Easter Escapade, the Marriage Mix-Up, and 3 new ones, the Leprechaun Larceny, the New Year Nightmare, and the Krampus Caper.
That one sounds exciting.
So there's a bunch of these. They're all coming in one big box set on Kickstarter right now. First of all, you should definitely check this Kickstarter out.
Please.
It is really inexpensive for the whole thing. $69 for the full collector's box with all 12 of them. If you have the first 9 and you only want the 3 new ones with the collector's box, it's $36, which is still pretty inexpensive. It's a really, really great deal. You should definitely check that out. That'll probably be fulfilling the middle of next year. If you kickstart the game in the campaign and you join the contest, if your name is drawn, your pledge will be free, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's
cool.
a pretty great deal. So head over to Kickstarter, look up Holiday Hijinks, kickstart either the 10 to 12 with the collector's box or the 1 to 12 with the collector's box. This is an unbelievable gift. These things are super, super fun. And then enter the contest and see if you can get your copy for free. What do you think of that?
I think it's pretty cool. As of the time of the podcast, there's only about 4 days left on the Kickstarter. I highly recommend you check it out. If you have no idea what we're talking about, go back and look at some of our early awkward video reviews of the Independence Incident and the Cupid Crisis, and you will see the kind of stuff we're talking about. These are amazing. Jonathan Schaffer does not repeat any puzzles across all of these different games, and they always just feel really fulfilling and fun. They're just fun.
Mm-hmm. So thank you to all of the publishers for offering something up for us to give away on the Family Gamers podcast. We're really, really excited for this, and we're really excited to see everybody join the contest. We'll post about it on all of our social medias as well. Anitra,
Yes.
you have a backtalk question for us.
I do. So even though it's been in the 70s here lately and we had to change up some Halloween costumes because of it, we are edging into the coziest season when it is perfect time to sit inside and play board games. And it got me thinking, especially with drinking this super weird Coke Zero, what is your favorite beverage to sit down and enjoy with a board game? For me, it's probably herbal tea. Cozy season is perfect for that. But maybe for you, it's something with a little bit of a kick to it, or a soda, or maybe you don't allow beverages anywhere near your board games, and your answer is nothing. No beverages on the same table as my board games.
I get that. I understand that. Also, my answer is a glass of beer. So...
So I would love to know what your answer is, and there is no wrong answer. The I don't have any drinks near my board games is still a right answer. Please tell us what your favorite beverage is with board games. The best places to do that are our Facebook community. Go to thefamilygamers.com/community, look for the backtalk question, or on the family tabletop community on Discord.
The easiest way to get there is to go to thefamilygamers.com/Discord, or if you're already in the community, just open Discord and it's right there.
Hashtag backtalk.
You can find us all over all of the social media, really, on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Family Gamers AA. You should definitely check out all those YouTube videos that Anitra works so hard to put together.
Please.
They are gaining in popularity. They're coming for you all. Of course, if you've got private things that you want to, share with us, or just any thoughts you might have that you don't want out on the internet, you can always email us, Andrew at thefamilygamers.com.
Anitra at thefamilygamers.com.
We have begun our PAX Unplugged planning, which means we all have to make sure that we've got appropriate garb with the Family Gamers logo on it. You can get your own Family Gamers merchandise by going to thefamilygamers.com/merch. There's also our super cool Play Games with Your Kids logo with all the different pieces on it and stuff like that. I had somebody randomly compliment my sweatshirt that I happened to be wearing one day last week. That was kind of cool. I really like that. So somebody could randomly compliment your sweatshirt.
Ooh. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, tell your friends about the podcast, and maybe also leave us a review at Apple Podcast or one of those other big name places, because that helps us get the word out to strangers. You can also find us on YouTube Music at least some of the time. Our episode 2 weeks ago didn't go up, and I don't know why, but hopefully this one will.
Feel free to give us a listen while you are working. You can just kind of put it on in the background, and nobody needs to know. It's fine. That's fine.
Nobody needs to know.
The Family Gamers is sponsored by First Move Financial. Go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers to learn how the team at First Move can help you pile up the victory points.
Well, that's going to be it for this week. Next week, the holiday list.
Yes. And in order to be able to talk about games we've been playing, we're going to have to play a whole bunch of games this week to make it look like a normal episode.
Oh, man, I don't know if we can do that.
I'm going to try my best.
All right.
All right, well, that's, I guess, going to be it for us this week. And so until next week, everybody, play games with your kids.